Hey guys, Jake here, and today I'm here to do something I want to do for quite a while now, for a few months or maybe even a couple years, is a new setup tour. And the last time I did a setup tour was actually in early 2016. Things have changed quite a bit since then, from the computer I have, to my peripherals, to my desk itself, and even the console setup has changed a lot. So I wanted to do a good look at my setup, because in the next few months I'm planning on having some significant changes to it. My setup was this way for like a few years, so I kind of want to keep it as like, hey, it went from this to this to this. I want to make a video on this time of it as well. So I'm going to start here in kind of the most obvious place, which is the desk. This is the main part of the setup. Obviously, I have more to talk about, but I have quite a few things. But I'm actually going to go from top to bottom. And so the top, actually, I've got quite a bit of extras. I've got a few posters, as you can see. I'll be listing the website and get those from individually. These are different Subaru BRZs. You can see the Veris kit on those. 911 GT3 RSs in different colors, and BMW race cars throughout the time. And then over here isn't something really racing game related, but I have pretty much every single Overwatch Funko Pop you can get. Ash's stand isn't here, but I don't have every one on this shelf, but on this shelf on the other side of my room, I actually have the rest of them, because I just don't have enough space to put them all on one shelf. And Overwatch is actually probably my favorite game of all time. That's why I have so much merch for it, as you'll probably see in the rest of the setup. Down to the most interesting part, the computer and the peripherals. So this is my PC that I've been using for various things for the past several years. I nicknamed it Frostbite, and the specs are a GTX 1070. This is an MSI one, i7 6700K CPU, Cryorig C7 CPU cooler, 16 gigabytes of crucial DDR4 RAM, a Samsung 850 EVO SSD, and also a Samsung 860 EVO SSD down here.
Whoop-de-doo-scoop, scoop-de-dee-whoop, whoop-de-scoop-de-poop. And
I also have the NZXT Hue Plus lighting system. However, it's a little bit messed up right now. You see, dumb Jake one day was bored, and he decided to take apart his PC to do some cable management, and when he put it back together, the Windows boot partition just decided to disappear. But when I got everything back up and working, it turns out I don't think I plugged in the micro USB cable to the Hue Plus, and whenever I open up NZXT Cam, it won't actually let me change the color of my lights, so they are stuck on white. However, this fan looks like someone peed in it, because it's just a faulty fan. The lights are messed up, and sadly I can't change the color of it to anything else, so I'm going to be stuck on P for a while until I get enough courage to open it back up. And the computer isn't really worth anything if you actually can't see anything on the screen, so that's why I have a monitor along with 99% of the rest of the world. But this is an Acer H257HU. Yes, I remembered that name 100% correctly. It's a 1440p 60 Hz IPS monitor, and honestly, I think it's quite a fantastic monitor. I've been using it since 2016, since Christmas 2016. And I've been really happy with it. My only real complaint is two things just do with the stand. You can't really adjust it all that much, and it actually doesn't have face mount compatibility, which is something that I really don't like about the monitor. But the rest of it is really, really good. However, I will be upgrading to a new monitor soon, which is an ultra-wide 3440 by 1440 Acer, which is actually at 144 Hz, and I'm really excited to get that next month. And I'll zoom out a little bit here to see the Logitech G920 racing wheel. You guys have probably seen this wheel a lot in some of my recent videos, and I'm going to be definitely doing more videos with this wheel in the near future, hint hint. But I've had this wheel since my birthday in 2017, and it's been an absolute blast. I know it's not the best wheel on the market. I know it's really similar to the G27, but it introduced me to the world of sim racing and just playing driving games on a wheel. And to me, when a racing game supports a wheel properly, I feel like it's just so much more fun than a controller. And here I also have the shifter accessory to it. It's a nice little shifter. I'm glad there's an option for it. I'm glad it exists. but it can feel a little bit plasticky, a little bit toy-like. It's kind of hard to just mount it correctly, so you have to have the shifter next to the wheel, so it's kind of up here. It's not in a realistic position at all, so it's kind of like you're driving a Ford Transit van and not a sports car or rally car or supercar or whatever you may be driving in your racing game. There is no option for a sequential shifter, so not really the greatest thing for rally games either. And then down here are the pedals to the G920. I'll turn the exposure up there. These are actually quite good pedals. I have had some issues with the load cell brake, as it's just hard to get used to it. It's pretty much only usable at stock settings when you're using shoes with it. But to me, I just adjust the sensitivity of the brake pedal, and that fixes it in most cases. And also, it's really, really great, I think, that these come with a clutch, because many entry level, and of course it slips there because this is on hardwood, but many entry level wheels and pedals don't come with a clutch pedal. And so because it does, that means you can easily drive manual stick shift H pattern cars without having to buy super expensive accessories. Coming back up to the rest of this setup is my keyboard and mouse. My keyboard, which I've been using since 2016, is the Corsair K65 RGB. Obviously it's an RGB keyboard, but I pretty much always keep it on blue, and it's a pretty great mechanical keyboard. It's satisfying to type on. I'm not the greatest typist on it. I actually have my spacebar reversed because it's just something I prefer, especially if you're using it for FPS games like Overwatch or Rainbow Six Siege. There's a much more ergonomic position to have than the standard spacebar position, because you can just kind of rest your thumb and jump whenever you want. So that's a little tiny free super easy mod I like to make to it. Just reverse that. And really the only negatives I can say about this keyboard is that I wish there was a wireless version, and that I might change my keyboard in the next few months to something that looks a little bit cleaner. I like the more like reserved professional style keyboards, say like one of the like Keychron keyboards and stuff you see on like the mechanical keyboards Reddit. This is a great keyboard, but I might switch to a keyboard with a different aesthetic in the future. And then my mouse, which honestly I couldn't be happier with. This is the Logitech G502 Lightspeed mouse, and I am beyond happy with it. Yeah, it's a little bit busy, but it has a really good amount of buttons to it. It actually has 3 side buttons, as you can see here, and then 2 buttons here on the kind of top side scroll wheel. And one feature I really like is you can just press this little button. It's like a toggle, and you can scroll really quickly. And if you press it again, then it scrolls in notches, which is really cool. This is also a button that's supposed to be used to change your DPI, but you can, I think, program it to pretty much anything. And the only negative I have with this mouse is that it forces you to use the Logitech G Hub software if you want to change the lighting or DPI settings or stuff like that. G Hub isn't really the greatest of softwares in the world. Logitech gaming software was much better in my opinion. And over here I have something completely uninteresting, which is just a lightning cord to charge my iPhone when I'm using my computer. I actually used to use a 12 South high-rise, but with my new phone and the case I got for it, I actually ended up screwing the stand too much to where I can't adjust it for my phone's case. I'm gonna have to get a different case for my phone to actually fit my stand back on there. So currently I just got this kind of free flowing cord. It doesn't really look all that great, but it gets the job done, I guess. And over back here, I have an absolute rat's nest of cables, because this is technically my definition of cable management. But it honestly works quite well because you don't see them all that much here. I need to get them a little bit sorted there in the back. And why do I have so many cables in the back, you might say? Well, I'll get to that in just a sec. But here, a little bit behind my keyboard, I have my Xbox One controller. This is the One S controller variant, the one that actually came with the One S console. I don't have the One S console, but I just bought it separately. And this controller has been with me since 2016. As you can tell, I've really worn this thing out because the left thumbstick is completely gone. The rubber on it is completely gone. It's just plastic now. And then even the right, as you can see, the rubber is starting to wear out a little bit on that right stick too. And I just really like the way this controller looks aesthetically. The Xbox One controller is probably my favorite controller of all time. And I know, oh, that's blasphemy because it's not an old retro controller. But honestly, I find this the best combination of you know, ergonomics and how many buttons there are and stuff like that. And specifically, one feature I really like about it is in racing games, being able to use manual transmission with LB and RB. What I like to do is, gas with the right trigger, obviously. And then to shift up, you just pull your finger back a little bit. So you don't have to take your finger off the throttle, and you don't have to use like spider grip or anything. You can just tap it like that. And that's how I like to use LB and RB. That's how I like to use manual transmission in racing games on a controller for the most part. And then I just plop it back on this little charging stand. It's by Power A. It's a really cheap one. It's really like cheap and plasticky. It's not the greatest quality in the world, but it gets the job done. If you were to go for a premium one, I'd probably recommend the controller gear one. That one is actually, I think, licensed and sold by Microsoft officially. This one's okay, but it's a little bit flimsy, but it definitely works just fine enough. It's only $15 on Amazon if you're looking for a cheap controller charging stand. Meanwhile, the more premium controller gear one is $40, and not everyone can really afford that. Next is my microphone that I used to record. It's the Blue Yeti. I usually move it up a little bit to around here when I'm actually recording videos, but overall, pretty great mic. That's what I have to say. It's pretty old by this point, actually. I think I've had this microphone for almost 5 years already. I got it for Christmas 2015 along with my Elgato. And honestly, I can't see myself upgrading microphones anytime soon. Next is just a little nice fake plant from IKEA and a nice little orange rock. I think both of those things add a lot to this setup. Even though they're just little additions, I think they really kind of bring a more nature feel into things. And then we have, last but not least, the MacBook Pro. So, yes, I actually have a high-powered PC with pretty dang good specs, like pretty high-end for 2016. But you edit your videos on a little MacBook. Yes, I actually use Final Cut Pro to edit all my videos, including the one that you're watching right now. Why do I use Final Cut? Well, I used to use Sony Vegas, but Vegas is garbage. Vegas is just garbage. So pretty much everyone has been moving either to Premiere or to Final Cut Pro. And I was someone who started on iMovie back in the day. As someone who really liked that software to start out with, Final Cut Pro actually feels kind of like iMovie, but a really, really good version of it. And while it's not a perfect software, I find it much better than Sony Vegas. And it's a really, really good software in general. And I actually only got it for only $200. And so I actually, bought the software instead of pirating it like Sony Vegas. Pretty much everyone pirates Vegas. But I actually went out and bought Final Cut Pro. And usually Final Cut Pro by itself is $300. But I actually got it for only $200 using Apple's student bundle, which you don't even need to verify that you're a student. So I don't think you even need to be a student to get the bundle. They might have actually changed that requirement. But I got Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Motion, which is Apple's After Effects, and Logic is their music recording software, and a couple other things for only $200, when that stuff probably would have cost around $1,000 for all of it. And this thing edits videos better than my PC ever did. And in the tech world, I've always been someone who's been a Mac and PC person. I was an Apple fanboy for a while, from like 2010 to like 2014, but that stopped pretty quickly. But I'm someone who's open to using different platforms. I know a lot of people like to make fun of Macs, but I think they very much get a lot of undeserved hate. I think they're far, far better laptops than anything you can buy on the Windows side, because I'm just someone who doesn't trust Windows laptops. They have so many issues with sleep. They have so many issues with their battery life. And this is coming from someone who tried a Microsoft Surface. And Microsoft Surfaces are supposed to be, some of the best Windows laptops you can get in their first-party hardware. But yet, the Microsoft Surface is the most unreliable PC I've ever used, even compared to my custom PC. The fun fact is that this thing is more reliable than any other actual OEM PC I've ever used. Does it have better specs? Yes, but the worst specs on my Microsoft Surface 3 shouldn't be the ones causing very, very strange issues that I had with it. But overall, I don't trust Windows laptops, and that's why I went for MacBook Pro. And I know the keyboard isn't really the greatest because it's a 2019 model, not a 2020 model with the new Magic Keyboard. This is the Butterfly keyboard. I haven't had any issues with it. It types okay, just fine. But honestly, if it did have the 2020 keyboard, this computer would be pretty damn perfect. And so how do I edit my videos on this small screen here? Well, I actually usually don't use the screen. Here's what I do. I actually plug in this USB-C extension cable, and then I will increase the exposure so you guys can see this, into this USB Type-C hub, which I have stuck to the bottom of my desk, and I have my monitor plugged in, and then a couple other USB devices plugged in, and then all I do is just switch my input to show the MacBook on the monitor instead of the PC. And I can actually use my mouse and keyboard just fine with it because I actually have a keyboard and mouse switcher in the back of here. I just click this little button, and then my keyboard and mouse are actually usable on my MacBook now. So I'm actually using my mouse right now to control the MacBook just with a click of one button. And you can do this with plenty of different devices. It actually doesn't work with my mic. It creates a weird buzzing noise, so that's the only exception. But this works with pretty much every other device, and you can just easily switch with computers using that. And if you guys want to see that keyboard and mouse switcher for yourself, or if you want to buy any of the other stuff I have in my setup, I will be listing every single thing that I have in the description down below. Maybe not the IKEA plan. I think some stuff will be hard to find, but all the like main tech stuff will be listed in the description down below. I think I've covered pretty much everything to do with the desk. We got the posters, we got the Overwatch figures, we got all the tech, we got the racing wheel, keyboard, computer, Mac, all that stuff. So what's up with the console setup? Well, it's changed quite a bit. I'm actually using the same exact stand as I did in 2016, but I have a brand new TV, which I got in 2018 for Black Friday. This is a Samsung 7 Series 4K TV from 2018, and it's really, really great. Honestly, the 4K looks amazing. The colors are amazing. The only real complaints I have with it are that there are actually only 2 HDMI ports. Yes, get that right. Only 2 HDMI ports, but for a 4K TV made in 2018, I find that a little silly. And specifically with me, I'm in a little bit of a pickle with my console setup. So, you see, at the worst time possible, right when the COVID-19 pandemic started, most of the power outlets in my room died. Only one was left, being the one that my PC is plugged into over there. But then the problem with that is I have to lead a extension cord and then plug a power outlet into the extension cord that goes into there. And I can't plug anything to there. And I'm out of power outlet, so to switch consoles, I have to actually unplug them and then plug a different one in. And I can't really keep them going all that much. And then I have to switch to HDMI all the time, and it's just a little bit of a chaotic setup, especially when since 2016. I have gotten a lot more systems. So first here is the Xbox One, and this was obviously here last time, but what wasn't here last time was this controller charger. I believe this is by PDP or something like that. It's a really great controller charger. It actually feels pretty premium, unlike the Power A ones. And this is the Xbox One Sport controller, I think it's called. Sport, like dark blue controller, has these nice little grips on here. However, I had a specific issue with this controller that I have not had on any other Xbox controllers or any other game controllers at all ever, which is I'm actually getting a little bit of stick drift on my left thumbstick, which is very, very annoying, especially for a controller that was more expensive than the other ones. I think this one was $69 instead of just being $59. And then the other new controller you guys haven't seen is this regular blue Xbox One controller. This one's really nice. I like the simplicity of this one. This one doesn't have the grips, but I quite like this one. It's just a really nice color. And that's pretty much it for the Xbox One. The only other Xbox One thing I have related is an external hard drive over there that I can't really properly fit anywhere, but that's about it. Next up is the Xbox 360, which you guys also saw last time. And I think this is even the same controller charger. I don't know if I had the controller charger in the previous setup, but I don't even have my controller using the correct like backplate thing because I can't even plug the charger in. So I have to just use batteries because I don't have any slots for it. Next up, as you see on the Xbox 360, is the Nintendo Switch, which I actually picked up earlier this year. I think the Switch is really awesome personally. It's probably my favorite console of this entire generation. While I might have had more memories on the Xbox One throughout time, I think the Nintendo Switch is easily the most unique and purposeful console actually throughout the entire last 7 years. You guys have probably seen a lot of discussion about how, a lot of modern consoles like the PS4, Xbox One, and PS5 and Series X just seem a lot like watered down PCs, and I honestly have to agree with that. They feel like I'm just kind of getting a worse experience on my PC with a better, easier to use UI. But really, the Nintendo Switch provides something really unique that the other consoles don't, which is that obvious kind of portability and hybrid sense of a console. You have this kind of portable kind of PSP-like form factor, and then you can dock it in and have a full console with a nice big controller, or you can even do motion control type games with the Joy-Cons. There's so many different things you can do with the Switch. And on Nintendo Switch, I have quite a few of the Nintendo exclusives. I only picked this up since April, so I obviously don't have everything because they're very expensive, but I have stuff like Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, Smash, Mario Maker, Splatoon, and a few others. But I really enjoyed my Nintendo Switch since I got it in April, and my favorite game is easily Animal Crossing New Horizons, with Mario Kart Deluxe being a pretty close second. I really enjoyed that as well. And if you guys want to add me on Nintendo Switch online, it uses the dumb friend code system, obviously. If you guys want my friend code, here it is right here. But anyway, that is the Nintendo Switch. And last thing I forgot to mention, actually, is I have it in this case, which is the Skull & Co. grip, if I can actually get it in focus. This is quite a nice case. I really like the ergonomics it adds, but sometimes I feel like it makes the Switch a bit too thick with 2 C's, and I'm kind of on and off whether I like to have it with or without. It also doesn't help that you can't take the Joy-Cons off when you have it on, obviously, so I feel like a lot of time when I need to actually dock it, I end up taking off the case and the Joy-Cons, and it's just kind of a mess. So I should probably just get a nice Pro controller to kind of not have that issue anymore. But as everyone knows, the Pro controller is quite expensive, so it's not super easy, especially when I'm saving up for a monitor instead. And that's quite ironic since I actually have another Nintendo Switch controller right here, which is actually a one by PowerA, which is the company that made that Xbox One controller charger I was talking about earlier. And it's an okay controller. It works, but it has not even HD rumble, which I didn't expect in a cheaper controller like this, but it also doesn't have any rumble at all. And I actually didn't buy this controller. It came in a bundle with my mom's Nintendo Switch. She actually bought her own after she stole my Switch so much to play Animal Crossing that it came with this little controller. I'm like, hey, I don't have to take off the case for the thing anymore. But I never want to play with this controller because it doesn't have any rumble at all. And I just can't take that. And under that controller, you probably can't see because everything is black. That's my little hard drive for the Xbox One because I frequently run out of space on there and I like to install Game Pass games. And here is, as you can see, the PS4. And my favorite game on the PS4 has to be Gran Turismo Sport. GT Sport is pretty much the main reason I bought the PS4. And even at the $300 brand new price I bought it at, it was absolutely worth it just for this one game, in my opinion. I know the PS4 racer of choice is usually Drive Club, but I find Drive Club to be needlessly hard to play, but I know it's a very well-made game. But for me, I'm someone who prefers Gran Turismo Sport all the way. I actually had a video in the works about why I think Gran Turismo Sport is such an underappreciated title, even though it has the popular name of Gran Turismo. I don't know if I'll continue to make that video. I don't know if I'll finish it or not, but I might. And so to the rest of the PS4 itself, it's just a PS4 Slim. Gosh, this brightness is absolutely terrible. It's really hard to focus on things when you have the worst lighting in your room probably ever made. If you guys can see that, I have the PS4 Slim, which is nice. I mean, it doesn't have the cool light bar, but it's super quiet. It's super nice, small, light, has a... It was a bad idea to record on the weekends, wasn't it? But yeah, it's just a PS4 Slim, no special edition, but it's a nice console. I like it. If I was to pick a main console of choice that I would prefer to play games on, I would actually pick the Xbox One, and if I could, probably the Xbox Series X, for reasons being that I like the Xbox ecosystem better and how their like achievements and overall games systems work. I really love that the Xbox has backwards compatibility, and the main reason I think the Xbox One controller is so much better with the PS4 controller, it's not even funny. I much prefer the places where the thumbsticks are, and the triggers and shoulder buttons are just so much better. The only thing I really like about the PS4's controller is its D-pad. I prefer its D-pad over the Xbox probably, and I like the position it's kind of in. It's just really easy. It just kind of roll over and pick stuff really fast. But the Xbox's D-pad is also just fine, but overall I much prefer the Xbox One controller, and that's why I would say it's probably, I think, would be my preferred console of choice over the PlayStation 4. And of course, that's not counting in games like Gran Turismo. I'm just talking about from a tech standpoint, kind of. But obviously, if things were my choice, I would probably put Gran Turismo on the PC, which might actually happen if you've seen Sony's recent financial report. So, that's my console setup. I didn't really show you guys all the wire mess down there because that's not very attractive. It's something very true about the setup, but it's not something that's the greatest thing to show in the world. That is one of those issues that might actually get fixed with some renovations that I kind of have planned. Hopefully, I can actually get these renovations in place. Hopefully, I can actually move rooms in my house because hopefully I can move to the desk I really want to get, which is the kind of r/Battle Stations basic desk with the IKEA Carl Bean and the Alex drawer, stuff like that. And if I have enough room, I really want to build and put a sim rig on the right of that. Getting the G920 out and having to set it up every single time I want to race with it, it's not hard or anything, but it's just kind of annoying. And also the ergonomics aren't really the greatest with the chair I have. This is the IKEA Marcus, I think it's called. And it's a pretty good chair for a sim rig setup in general. I would want to get an actual racing car chair that's something like a play seat, if you know what I mean. And I would really love just to hop in the sim rig and hop out to the PC desk. I think it would just be a really cool setup. So hopefully I can actually get that done. And with the consoles, what I would do is I would get a new TV stand. I would pretty much cable manage the crap out of it because I would have an extra level to put consoles on and not have the giant mishmash that I have in there currently. So that was the new setup tour. I think this one's a lot longer than the previous one was. And I've been wanting to do this one for ages, but I thought it'd be a really good video to make now. Considering that, I want to do some renovations pretty soon, I kind of want to have this as a snapshot of my current setup. And I also want you guys to just see what it looks like. I think it looks really nice. I really like the way my setup turned out, but there are some improvements that I really want to be made. I hope you guys enjoyed the setup tour, and hopefully I can meet you in the next few months or maybe next year for another one. Let me know what y'all think of the setup, and I'll see you guys later.